Yes, thank you, Luisa, for inviting me to join on this webinar about public space. For us, the global platform, the right to the city, it's a pleasure not to be here with you and the colleagues and the audience. Uh, so the right to the city is exactly in a perspective we bring the last 20 years, no, from the different networks and social movements uh, to bring the perspective, the human rights in the cities. No, is exactly not only the perspective, the philosophy, but also for the obligations, responsibilities for the governments, no, for the states, for the authorities. This will bring also the perspective to recognition of the right to the city in the legal institutional perspective. In Brazil, we have, the right to the city is recognized like a legal rights, fundamental rights, one national law, state of the city. We have this law during the last 20 years. And also the global platform bring this perspective for the international level. No, we enjoy the Habitat 3 process, no, since the beginning for the one recognition, no, the right to the city, la vision, no, for the new urban agenda. In some way, we got, this vision, the right to the city in the new urban agenda in paragraph 12 and 13. So the division we have, about the right to the city, the connection with the public space, for us, the right to the city is the right of our inhabitants, present and future inhabitants, permanent and temporary, to use, occupy, produce, enjoy just, inclusive, and sustainable cities, villages, and human sentiments, defined as a common goal. This vision, the common goal, is one important issue in the vision, the right to the city, because you are bringing the perspective, the other vision, the city, no the vision, the economy, only for the use of the city, no for the competitive vision of the city, even this more focus in the technology like smart city, but to bring one perspective for the inhabitants, no, the city should be one space for our inhabitants. It is the perspective the city is a common good. We bring the components, the right to the city. One component, the right to the city, is exactly the quality of public spaces. No, we have the other components, especially the enhanced political participation, no discrimination, city without any kind of discrimination, gender equality, cultural diversity, inclusive citizenship, and also the social function of the city. So about the public space, I want to raise it. First of all, what is the finality? What is the strategy for us to raise the public space? Because we believe the public space is one strategic space we need to have in the cities for the qualify and enhance the citizenship and the democracy in the cities. And the public space, we work in some dimensions, the political dimensions, economy dimensions, cultural and the social dimension. The political, we believe the public space has an important role in the cities we have a society and with more qualification to consolidate the democracy in the cities, for we have a society with more diversity. It also is one important strategy for political dimension, the education using the public space. If we I think we have these moments, important moments in the world, which these protests, demonstrations, the voices regarding against the racism on the streets, especially in the United States, because of the crime against George Floyd, but are raising in many cities, many countries, the voices and protests against the racism using exactly the public space, our streets, or parks, or squares, for raise your voice and your messages. Also for democracy in Brazil, especially now we have a one critical moment. In many situations, the health, the pandemic here is worse. I think you know the news about Brazil. The president don't take any responsibility about to to combat, the pandemic, the COVID-19, and also the political situation here, is very critical. And then the public space in this moment also is very important, for exactly for the society, even happening this pandemic, to use the same ways the public space for protests, for manifestation, to defend the democracy in Brazil. So this one perspective, the democracy and participation in the public space. Also, we have other important example, for the public space regarding the political dimension, is the increasing, the policies about the urban mobility using systems more sustainable, like a bicycle. In many cities, in many countries, we have strong movements, to implement these policies, usually using exactly, the public spaces for sustainable, and also to some way to contribute for the impact of the climate change using urban mobility sustainable. The other dimension, we work in the perspective of the right to the city. There is a connection with the public space and the economy. I think we know, the informal economy is majority in the urban areas, in the cities. Is actually the streets, the public space, or space for you have these activities, the informal workers, for food, pickers of trash, the artistic using the streets, the different kind of works, are in the formal ways, are using the public space. And that is very important to raise, the dimension, the economy, it connects with the right to the city and the public space, is special to protect, the rights of these informal workers using these spaces. Also, now are one dimension in the economy perspective to recuperate spaces for the agricultural perspective, connect with the food security, are movements, to using public areas, for the perspective to agricultural activities, in the cities. This is an important dimension, for the economic and public space. In the other dimension, we work, you are raised is important. It's about the cultural and artistic expressions, for using the public space, in special when we are having the perspective for using the public space for expression, artistic, like music, dance, especially for young people, using the streets, for your culturals in the neighborhoods. And And this is very important, you know, for the dimension of the culture. Also using services, Kathleen raised, you know, the library, the schools. I think this is important that we take in account. It's very important we could, to understand, you know, these equipments, the services, the education, culture are in public spaces also. You know, it's important to enhance, to use for the communities these spaces, not for education, not for pedagogic perspective, for citizenship, and for the perspective also the human rights. For this is very important the democracy, no, the participation, the habitants, no, in this process. I agree with the colleague, no, should are raising the participation in the process to define the priorities in the budgets. No, I think in Brazil we have some experience for we call participatory budgets for defining priorities in the neighborhoods in some cities. No, and for planning also, no, also is very important the participation of the communities and citizenship. And also in the micro perspective, no, we need to have the participation for management of these public spaces, no, like councils for parks, council for using these spaces with the representative members of the communities, the uh, organizations from civil society, for to guarantee the diversity, no, the for don't have any kind of the uh, discrimination for using these spaces when sometimes we have, you know, regarding issues, the race, ethnic issues, or regional issues, or social issues, or political. So this is some.